It's Don at Airbrush Artist Magazine. This is my video on painting the monster truck. Bad news travels fast. It took 2 days just to do that. Pretty much. It'll probably take me another day just to wet sand it with 800 grit wet dry sandpaper. And then I'm going to pop the front of the truck off, the hood, and I'll do the top of the hood first. Here you can see the hood all masked off with the masking tape and the design laid out. I just roughly sketched it in. I go and refine the design. As we go along, I just used a graphite or number 2 pencil to lay the design out. You can see I've already started painting a little. I'm going to go through and do the whole design in just shades of gray right now, and then we'll come back and add our color later. I'm using very little amount of paint right now. I don't want any real hard lines in this painting because it make it look unnatural or make it look like a big sticker on there, and I want to avoid that. I also want to avoid a lot of paint buildup and hard edges along tape edges so that I don't have to clear this thing twice and wet sand it and clear it again to have it come out nice and smooth where you don't feel the graphics underneath the clear. So I'm going to shoot for not having to do that. You may have to, but the goal is not to have to at this point. 3M masking tape is working great. It may look like a lot of work, but it lays down real smooth. There's no wrinkles in it. I just overlapped the 3M about 1/16 of an inch on itself. It went real fast. It took 1 roll of tape to do that hood. $4 I think it was. Here you can see a rough sketch of the design on the hood, and what I'm going to do is go through and refine this design as we go along. Here you can see I've started laying some paint on there. I go through and cut the masking tape and pull it out as I go along. You can see the shades of gray is pretty much rendering the painting now. So hopefully we're going to have to do is go back with transparent colors now and add some color to these areas, and we'll be done. With very little paint on here, the less paint you use, the better off you're going to be. And again, this is just base white, over reduced a little, and sprayed through a Rich Pen 213C airbrush at about 8 to 10 pounds of pressure. Here I've jumped ahead a little bit, and we pretty much got his face knocked out. I'm going to do his hair, his hat, his tongue right now. This project is going to take a month. I've got 2 more caricatures to do, so we'll do a little how-to on one of the caricatures on the side of the truck. This is on the hood, and it's moving right along. All through this painting I have a can of prep clean and a tack rag handy. I use them all the time. I tack this thing off all the time before I paint. Always using the prep clean on it to keep dust and stuff out of the paint and keep the painting surface nice and clean. The face is at a stage right now where I want to add a bunch more colors around it and see what it does to the colors in his face, and then we'll go back in his face and probably do some minor altering, but at least the base colors are there at this point. So now we'll go on and do the hat, and then we'll do the hair. I'm going to mask his hair off while we do his hat. I'm just going to use fine line tape, and then I'm going to use the transfer tape over that. You can see here where the fine line tape has already been applied there. I just want to keep the blue off, the hat colors off his hair, and then render his hair on top of the hat like it should be. So now we'll apply the transfer tape right over the fine line tape and cut it off where it needs to be. Works out pretty slick and it's pretty easy to do. Now at the end of day 5, this is when we end up with. We've got some detailing left to do around his hair. Shadow his eyeball a little bit, make it look a little bit rounder. that's how far we are. I'm pretty happy with it. And the owners of Bad News Travel Fast were just here and they're real happy with it, so I guess we're in good shape. Next is the bicycle and his sneakers and stuff, and I'll try and tape as much of that as possible. Later on in the tape, I'll show you, take you through doing one of the caricatures on the side of the truck. You can see the rough sketch I made of his leg, the sneaker, and the bicycle. Day 8, and I pretty well got the hood mural done. I'm going to take you through all this when we do the side mural and how I do all this. This is a front tire. I hope the detail shows up on this video because it's pretty cool looking. Here's a close-up of the back tire. The tires sort of balance this mural out between the tires and his face. I think the hood's pretty well balanced with the artwork. And here we are. The bicycle. His stomach and his jeans are done. Pretty much everything but the papers and his paper bag and the houses now are left on the hood mural. I've done this just with urethane, no activator in it, and no SG100 over it. I'm hoping to get the artwork done, and just before I clear it, I'm going to pull the tape, clean the hood off, and clear it. Right now I'm leaving the tape on there to sort of protect the painting. There we have the whole thing. That's as far as I've gotten in 8 days. Pretty much. There's a lot of detail in this. It's a big painting. It's a full-size truck hood, so and it takes up most of the hood. We're pretty close to having this, at least the hood done, then we can go work on the sides. You can see I've got the mail, the newspaper bag, and the newspaper is pretty much done. Just need to put the rubber bands around the newspapers. And we can start pulling tape. As you can see, I've started pulling tape, and what I'm going to go back and do now is put some drop shadows on his hair on the hood and do any minor touching up around the edges that I need. Clean the hood up, and we'll clear this side, or the hood, protect it while we do all the rest of the murals. Now I pulled all the tape off, and it's our first real good look at it without tape on it, and with the background it's going to be, I think it's pretty sharp. Now I'm just going to go through and clean up the edges, add some detail, a little more detail to the hair, and clear it. There's a little closer view of our little character. I think he's coming along good. Can't wait to clear it and make all those colors just pop right out. With it all untaped, I cleaned it off, cleaned the edges up, and put one coat of clear on it just to protect it while I do the sides and the grill and the bumper. We're going to wet sand it again and then lay it on the sawhorses and do the sides and the grill. And that'll complete the hood. Looks pretty nice cleared. There's a shot of the grill and the houses. The hood is done. I just need to clear it one more time, or wet sand it and clear it one more time, and it'll be good to go. And here's what the side looks like with the houses on it. We'll put it back on the front end of the truck here in a little while. Right now I'm going to start working on the roof. The little kid's hand with the newspaper up there on top of the cab. At least the hood's done. Now we can get on with the main body of the truck. We're back to the main body of the truck. I lowered it 16 inches on that cribbing to make it easier to get to the roof. Do that hand and newspaper, which is the first thing we're going to do. I've already wet sanded, as you can see, this one side, getting it ready to paint. 600 grit wet dry sandpaper wet. It's pretty much ready to go. It just needs to be cleaned off. I've already taped the roof off, and about 45 minutes drew the design, hand in the newspaper, and I'll show you that right now. Here you can see the scaffolding I built so I can get up on the roof to draw the design and then paint it. And here you can see I've taped it off and drawn the design. There's the lettering on the top. Afraid I can't get you a much better picture than this. There's not much room up here. Next we'll cut it out. I'm going to do the newspaper first. I'm going to leave the lettering taped up, so when I pull it off after I do the newspaper, the letters will be read. It'll save me a lot of time in doing that lettering.